as you turn and as you start walking, you hear this intake of breath behind you, and you hear this movement behind you of something that feels bigger and perhaps clumsier than a human. And as you wheel round to face it, to back off or to whatever you do, it brushes past you and you just get this sense of coarse hair and this sort of swish past your face of this coarse hair, and you hear something kind of lumbering away. But it's odd because, of course, nothing that big could have been behind you.
The Apocalypse players present A Christmas Inheritance, a Call of Cthulhu 7th edition scenario by Danann McAleer in the style of M.R. James, with Joseph Chance as Edward Caister, Dan Wheeler as Reverend Peregrine McCutcheon, Dominic Allen as Sidney Wagner, and Danann McAleer as the Keeper of Arcane Lore. Part 5. Hide and Seek.
Anyway.
Is that a sanity check for me?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, God.
I bet you wish you'd been studying what was inside that cupboard downstairs now.
I wish I'd focused on the step ladders. What is my sanity? Oh, 60, okay. I rolled a 77. Shit. That was no ghost.
Don't think that.
Okay, so you've lost 6 sanity.
Oh, God.
I mean, I think that...
I just rolled really a horribly good roll. Good, bad.
So that requires an intelligence check, right? To see if I go nuts. Fantastic.
That's the highest it could have been.
Yeah. My first literal brush with the supernatural. It drives me mad. Luckily, I'm not that intelligent, so...
Great.
I'm slightly above average, but that's about it. Oh, but that's a hard success.
Oh, no.
Good-o.
This was no... I go, that was no ghost. That was no ghost. Oh, God. And I go temporarily insane.
Lovely. So, cut back to the gentleman by the maze.
I don't want to seem callous, Peregrine, but I feel like this weather makes a search, well, 3 times as difficult. And in all truth, I think we need to do it with fresh legs. If the boy is dead, then...
I'm inclined to agree.
I mean, a person can live quite some time.
That's true. I mean, the boy was last seen in this maze. That doesn't mean he's still in the maze.
Then what if he was folded up? That I don't understand. That sounds...
No, I didn't understand that.
Well, let's maybe see if that
turn of
step
phrase.
ladder's... Yes, that turn of phrase. Well put. Let's see if we can find Sidney in his step ladder.
That's a good idea.
So you're heading back to the house.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes, I suggest we head back to the house. See if we can find Sidney.
Excellent. So, you're not interrupted on your way back. You're trudging through the rain, which really does seem to have become unreasonably heavy since you head out. It seems to have accounted for your waxen overcoats by doubling down on its efforts. But you make it back to the door, and you enter the main foyer. And Sidney, where have you been?
I have no idea.
Sort of staggering about in the corridor, whispering about ghosts, I imagine.
I think I've probably... well, I suppose it depends. If I'm having a bout of madness, unless there's a one in particular you want...
Oh, well, I thought that since you went temporarily insane, the shock of the moment and this thing passing you, and then it sort of pouncing away down the corridor, although it terrified you in the moment, it also reminded you of only an hour or two earlier where you'd been so scared by the dog, you know, which had then sort of befriended you briefly, even though it's now following Peregrine around. In this moment where you realise this huge thing has gone past you, this brushing of hair and everything, you realise it's a game. That's what this is. It's just a game, and
Excellent.
a sort of an element of glee comes into you. That sort of, when you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you get a bit giddy, or you almost get hit by a carriage and you have to laugh.
The imp of the perverse.
Exactly.
Yes. In which case, well, they won't see me.
Is this dog still following me?
Sydney?
It is.
Here, boy. Good boy. Oh, well, no, yes. All right, then stay with him. I never had much luck with dogs. Sydney? Here,
Sydney?
shut that door, will you? That rain's torrential.
Of course. Should I let the poor dog in?
Oh, isn't he in with us? Oh, yeah, let him in. Yes.
So he let himself, he sort of shakes, covers you all in. Well, I mean, you can't notice, you're so well.
There's a few warm coals left in this fire here. Let me see if I can throw some... there's only logs. I'll try and find some kindling. You stay there.
Well, are you, can I just check? Are you going up to the study?
Not quite yet. There was
Where you...
sort
Okay. Well, there is no other fire nearby, because you sort of, you made a point of not accepting the dining room or any of the rooms downstairs or anything like that. So the only fire that was lit in the end was the study upstairs. So you're pretty much in the pitch black. There's a slightly guttering candle on the right.
My mistake. I'm sorry. These are chestnuts. I mistook them. It was just a display of chestnuts. How foolish of me. Catching the light of... God knows what light that is. Where's that light coming from?
You're in a lot of darkness, but I think the windows above the main door are letting in some of the moonlight through the rain, and so you've got that sort of pale illumination over the edges.
I think it's probably just my lantern, isn't it? Yes. Fine.
Listen, I expect, Sydney had quite a lot to drink, and I'm not, passing judgment on that, but maybe he's just taken himself to bed, and maybe that's what we should do as well, to be honest.
I think I turn round on Peregrine, and for the first time, he sees the true impact of the military on my life when I was out on the borders of Afghanistan, because I am unrepentantly unforgiving in that moment. And the boyhood friend is gone. But a split second later, I return to myself. The mask returns, and I say, "Oh, no. Forgive me. I fear that I may have been harsh. My visage may have taken on a severe aspect there, my friend."
No,
it's just that...
Not at all. Of course, I understand that was a terrible suggestion.
No, you're absolutely right. It's quite like him to have dropped the matter. I'm just so disappointed. I say, and I stare at the chestnuts as if they were the smouldering embers of a fire, which I know to my disappointment they aren't. And then I look around and I say, "I'm sorry, did you just hear something?"
No, I don't think so.
No, wait, listen.
I will. I'm going to do a listen roll.
Please do, yeah.
I'm going to do a listen roll as well.
I got a hard success on my listen.
I say, "Oh no, it's nothing. It's just my imagination." Oh well.
I say, it might be a night jar.
In this weather.
With your hard success, what you realise is there is literally no sound from inside the house. If Sydney is in the house, he's very quiet. If the dog's next to you panting and the rain is pelting the windows, but you cannot hear a single other thing.
Ned, I think he must have taken himself to bed. I'd be happy to go and knock on his door and check if you'd like me to.
Yes, all right. Well, I'll stoke the fire in the study. There should be some remnant of it. Here, you take the dog with you.
Of course.
He says, somewhat crestfallen, knowing full well that the dog's just going to go anyway.
You sure you don't want to just turn in yourself?
I'm soaked to the skin, man. I must dry off a little.
Understood.
Will I see you there? I saw some whiskey, I'm pretty sure, in that cabinet.
Well, I'll join you for a quick one.
A nightcap.
but,
And if Sydney's still awake, bring him along as well.
of course.
Well, that's your staircase. This is mine.
Well, I'll see you shortly. And I head up towards Sydney's room.
Lovely. So, you knocking on the door?
Yeah, if I make it that far without being ambushed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's nothing to be scared of in this house.
Oh no! Yeah.
So you reach
gentle knock on his door.
You knock.
I'm not trying to wake him up if he's asleep. Just if he's still awake.
Right. You don't hear anything. So
Sydney.
if he's asleep, he's asleep.
In that case, I might just gently turn the handle and just see if I can peek to see if there's a figure in the bed.
The curtains are drawn, so it's pretty dark. Your eyes are adjusted because the whole house is pretty dark at this point, but you can't really see. You'd have to get a bit closer, I think.
Do I still have this lantern? Could I sort of?
Yeah. If you, I thought you were scared of waking him up, but yeah, if you want to just shine the room, then absolutely.
I'll just shine it in enough to see whether I can see a figure in the bed. I assume if he's asleep, he's like passed out drunk, so I'm not worried too much about waking him up.
Okay, Gren. So it doesn't look like there's anyone in the bed.
Okay. Interesting. Fine. In that case, I close the door and I head on down to the study.
Excellent. So you walk down the landing to the study. Meanwhile, Edward, you were heading straight there. Is that the idea? Or?
Heading straight to the study, yes. Whilst
Lovely.
taking my sopping wet raincoat off and sopping wet.
Yes.
Oh, well, I've left the umbrella down in the
bison's foot.
Yeah, the gazelle's feet.
The gazelle's toenail.
Whatever toenail.
Yeah. Well, as you reach it, you sort of have to feel along the wall a bit because the glow from the door isn't really there anymore.
Can I take my lantern?
I'd forgotten you still had your. That's my bad. Yes, you. Yes, but you could see the glow before, and it is no longer there. As you make it in, you see there's still a few sort of orangey coals in the grate. So there's firewood to one side. You could easily stock it up if you wanted to dry your clothes. I mean, but yeah, you make it into the study.
Yeah, perfect. And I shall disrobe as far as is decent. Well, yes. What is the question regarding that in this day and age?
I'm imagining Clarence in "It's a Wonderful Life."
Maybe not quite as American in my robustness there, but certainly down to my waistcoat and tie. My shirt sleeves are out, and I probably and I think I'll head over to the drinks cabinet and pour myself a stiff whiskey.
Lovely. Peregrine, what's your sitch?
I guess if I've got to the study. Have I got to the study?
Yeah. So you're walking back from your room's direction to the study.
Mm-hmm.
Do me a spot hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he?
Oh dear, that's a fail.
That's all right. So you make it, and you sort of see a lantern. Like you've got your own lantern. You can see a chink in the light, and you suddenly trip on something hard in the middle of the landing. It doesn't send you over, but you sort of knock against something, and yes, it's like you've knocked into something that was in the middle of the landing that wasn't there before, and it's skittered away slightly.
Something small.
Yeah, it's something heavy but small.
I see if I can see it. I lower my lantern and see if I can see what I kicked.
So you get a hint of a sort of circle of bronze, and as you look closer, it's the bowl from before, from the study that was on the mantelpiece that Sydney had picked up.
It certainly was.
And it must have just been sat there in the centre of the hallway, which seems, well, how on earth? Why on earth?
I call out, Sydney. Sydney.
And as you're calling out for Sydney, just check in with you, Sydney. You're still safe. You're still warm, and Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So Edward,
Do I hear this cry for Sydney? Not cry, too strong, but
I think you do. You because you're near the study at this point, Peregrine. So yeah, you'd hear Peregrine sort of Sydney.
Pip, Pip.
It's all right. It's all right, Ned. He's not in his room, but he got as far as the bowl.
I'll stride over to the. Well, I can't stride. I'll limp over to the door, but with purpose. Once again, cursing my ill luck for having been caught on that fateful hillside in the gorse of the high Afghan hills, and the resultant infection that caused the terrible turgidity of the muscles in my left calf. And I shall open the door, leaning on the door handle, and look out and say, "Is everything all right?"
I'm sort of standing over the bowl, holding the lantern at it, just for some reason feeling like I'm not sure I want to reach out and touch it. Are we within sight of each other, me and...
Yeah. You're about sort of 5 yards from each other, I think. Yeah.
I just tripped over the that bronze bowl. I feel Sydney must have got as far as picking the bowl up. I don't know what's become of him. Maybe he went back out to the maze and we just missed each other in the dark. Is that possible?
Surely not. He would have waited at the entrance.
Well, I don't know what he could have been playing out with this bowl out on the landing here.
Sydney? Here, wait a moment. And I'll go back in. I've still got my whiskey glass. I'll take a heavy slug of it, put it down, and I'll get my cane, and I'll go back out into the landing. If it's
by this point, I've plucked up the courage to pick up the bowl.
So you pick it up, and nothing happens. Nothing. Cold, heavy metal bowl. You can feel the engravings on the bottom side, but yeah.
I flip it over and have a look at the bottom, just because I had this weird thought earlier that it might have been some kind of map. Just cast my lantern over it, and maybe can I do an intelligence roll to see whether it's obvious to me whether it definitely is or definitely isn't, or
feel free, yeah.
That's a hard success on my intelligence.
It definitely isn't.
And you found it here?
It was right here. I tripped over it.
Sydney? Damn it.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, this is a rum turn of events.
Should we? This is a large property, but it's not infinite in size. Should we have a look around, see if we can find him, or should we head back outside in case he's at the maze?
There's a chance he may have found someone's private hat collection, I suppose.
That's true. Should we put this bowl back?
Head to the hat room.
Should we put this bowl back in the study?
Put it back in the closet. That's usually where he finds things, isn't it?
Well, this very good. This was found on the mantelpiece, I believe.
No, we should keep that with us, I say.
All right.
And I look over the double staircase into the mullioned window. And, oh no, that was a pub. The glass in the pub was the mullioned. I look into the beautiful window, and I think of the 1,387 acres, and I say, we must find him.
Do you know the two places he could be? And again, I absolutely don't want this to seem as if I'm passing judgment. Is he might have found the wine cellar, or he might have found the kitchen.
The kitchen, yes, good thinking. He does like a slice of cheese. Well, if we split up, we'll do that faster. Shall I go for the kitchen and you go for the wine cellar?
And I'll go for the wine cellar. I presume.
Can you do me a... Can you... I'm not trying to hamper this in the slightest, but I feel like...
Sure,
by my calculations, it's probably past 4 a.m. now.
I just want to go to bed.
And you're still soaked through. Well, this is since you were outside the temple outside, and then you went all the way around the maze.
It's only then that I realise how late it is.
I just I would like a constitution
I
check,
think that's
possibly.
reasonable.
Yes.
I have been trying to persuade you that we should go to bed, but you insist.
I want to go to bed. You're so right, Perry.
I want to go to bed. I failed my constitution roll quite considerably.
Wait, hold on to me. You look pale. Old chap, here.
Oh, I feel terribly faint. I think I just need to lie down. It's been a very long
Quick,
day.
come in here. Have some whiskey. That helps. I've
No,
passed
I'd
by
rather
the
just go
whisker
to
of
bed,
an
to be
inn.
honest, Ned.
I think it was the
Ned.
whiskey that's helped me.
Oh, Ned, I just need to lay my head down. I'm sorry. This is...
Why don't you sit here by the fire and dry her off? Did I just say dry her off?
Good Lord.
All right, I'll just sit down. I'll just sit down here for a minute. And I sit down, and almost as soon as I am sat into this comfy chair in front of the fire, my eyes close and I am asleep.
Fantastic.
I pull a blanket up round him, just like I used to do back in the day.
It's very kind.
Tuck him in.
Yeah.
Just give his cheek a little stroke,
Oh, God.
just like I used to do back in the day. And I down the rest of the whiskey, and I feel very giddy because I only passed by 2.
Yeah.
Pass. And I take the hooded lantern and I head down towards the kitchen,
Oh, okay.
or at least where I last saw William Purdue. William Purdue go last.
Excellent.
And I will pursue that course of events for now.
Pursue Purdue.
Pursue Purdue.
Great. So, and just to check in with Sydney, you're still warm. You're still safe. Still can't see it, but okay, good.
Where are you,
What the fuck is he doing?
weirdo? Warm and safe. Oh no, you're not. Oh, what's happened to the dog?
Oh, it was following Perry, so
It's
it'll
probably sat
be.
by the fire.
I'm wearing him. I'm inside the dog.
That's what I started to think. I thought, oh God, has he cut the dog open? He's gone full.
I'm walking around. Woof.
He's gone full Han Solo.
To be fair, if actually the fact you asked where the dog was, I think it does give you a sense of confidence to have it with you. So you could try and bring it with you. You could give it a call, or
I think I do. Instinctively, I stop at the door and I think maybe I don't want to do this on my own. And I say, here, boy.
Ben.
Here, boy. I try to charm him with my animal handling.
Yeah, give it a roll.
So that's a D20 check, isn't it? Animal handling.
And,
Damn. What would I use for that?
well, it's not really
Animal handling.
right?
It's on your sheet.
Is it
Animal handling.
really?
Yeah, second one
Yeah.
down.
I think I've got this slightly older version of the 1890s. What's the base rate?
It's 5, I'm afraid.
That's fine. 5%.
I mean, I would argue in your favour that it's not really animal handling to call a dog to you if you know its name. So
Charm?
I would charm or luck, or I would take.
Persuade?
Persuade's a bit of a.
Let's do a charm. We'll do
push,
charm.
maybe.
I've got charm. That's give me a 50% chance on this.
Fuck it.
Ooh, 56. I'm gonna spend the luck.
Spend the luck. Have a little pet.
Yeah. I'll bring Ben with me. So I sort
It's
of
a-
almost fail, and then I go, oh, come on, Ben. And I sort of go over to
And
him.
you hear this sort of the clacking of like long nails on the sort of wooden floor, and and then this sort of and it comes down there, and you can hear it coming down the stairs, and it sort of skids to a stop just in front of you, and
Maybe you say, Ben, let's go and find some cheese.
That's exactly what I say. And then I feel faintly foolish afterwards. But I also kind of sense a kind of strange giddiness in the air that I can't quite explain. It almost feels like I'm in a game. And then I press on towards the kitchen.
and it looks at you and just goes, Reggie? Carries on.
Maybe a sandwich would be good, Ben. What do you think?
Have some Scooby snacks. Well, you've not been in the dining room yet, but that's the way
I've not really seen the house.
William has gone. You haven't seen the house or the grounds. To be honest, there could be an obelisk the size of the Eiffel Tower outside, and you wouldn't have noticed it.
Is there?
No, there isn't. But my point stands. You're in the main hallway. There's the double doors off to the left from the main door, which you know leads into the dining room. If you're going in there, and there's two little sort of servants' doors under the split staircase that you haven't seen anyone go into. But yeah,
I will.
William seemed to go through the dining room.
Yeah, I'll take the one that's more interior, I suppose, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. So under the left-hand stairs of the split staircase.
Yeah.
So you go over and you've got Ben following you, and you push the door, and it's a sort of narrow staircase, but it doesn't seem to extend very far. And if you're following it down, you come into a sort of whitewashed room, which seems to be it's quite low ceilinged for a kitchen, but it's clearly a kitchen. It's
Sydney, you down here?
used in a while.
Wagner, come on, stop playing games.
You don't hear anything.
Good boy. Come on then. And I shall head over to the cold store and see if there's any cheese.
Oh, there surely is. There's rounds of the stuff.
A little spot of cheddar, maybe some. Well, Yarg seems unlikely, doesn't it? Maybe a something nuttier though.
It was invented in the 1980s, Yarg.
Yeah, or was it? Good God, good knowledge.
Like the word kid, which by this point has been around for about 100 years.
Maybe a little slice of blue. It is the season,
yes.
after all. I do like a bit of continental blue.
Excellent.
And then I'll.
So you've abandoned the search for Sydney, and you're just literally making a midnight
This
snack.
is still a search, but I'm exhausted. I just passed that constitution check.
It's very fair, yeah,
And it's the 19th century. A man needs to eat.
exactly.
And I shall put this on a board and take it back upstairs.
Excellent.
After a cursory glance around various things that, like doors that I've missed, or
So you make it back to your room. You feel drawn to it. You're aware. Well, you've tucked Peregrine in, and that seems to be the perfect. I mean, it's a ridiculous hour. And what time will Ainsworth be here tomorrow? As soon as Peter's here, all will be well.
all will be well.
I mean, this is just be a ridiculous night you spent in an unusual place. So you make it back to your rooms, unless you'd like to go anywhere else. But
Well, so long as I've checked on. So long as I've I can't believe I've lost Sydney. But yeah, okay. As long as
It's
I've
up to
checked
you.
on Pip. No, I'll check on Pip, and then I do think to myself, my God, I'm absolutely shattered. And I suspect I let Ben stay by the fire. I give him
Excellent.
a bit of the. Oh, I'm sure there was a bit of brie that he could have. That's fine.
Right.
And
So you, if you're going back into your room,
I'm going to take the manuscript with me, with the crossed out words of Bear. And I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to disrobe, and then yes, I suppose I turn at my door at the last moment. In fact, actually, I come back in my nightgown. I come back to the door, and I say,
yes.
and I say loudly but not shouting, Sydney, Wagner. Oh. Well, I hope you found what you're looking for. And then I close the door. And I go into my bed and I pick up the manuscript and I look at it and I fall asleep.
Excellent. So, firstly, Sydney, could you give me a listen?
Let's see what I can hear. Oh, that's a fail. That's a 54 and a 20.
Okay, not to worry. I can come back to you. How are you feeling where you are? It's been a while.
Oh. Still quite safe.
Still quite safe. You're still waiting.
Oh, I'm still waiting. Is it worth pushing the roll? A 20, it's not worth it, is it?
It's probably not worth pushing it for a 20 now. But that's okay. But if you'll find where you are, I'm happy with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, rather.
Edward, could you give me a little constitution check, please?
Yes. Well, I've done much better on this one. That's actually a hard success. Not excellent, but hard. 21 on a 60.
You do sort of wake up. You're sort of in between sleep. You've got the cheese. You wake up with sort of the cheese boards on you, you're still relaxed, but bits of Stilton falling off and
No, not again.
you sort of try and tidy yourself up.
This
a
is
bit.
becoming a
Slightly
habit.
Embarrassing.
We've all been there.
Exactly. Every night,
Especially at Christmas.
I once woke up with a with a bit of bread stuck to my face.
What?
Dear.
So really, I did need an extreme success on this because there's something that feels like it's pulling you quite. That you sort of wake up.
Well, I can get
a couple of
that
times.
extreme success by the expenditure of luck.
If you'd like to, then do.
Well, then I think I shall.
Right?
If a Constitution, I can do that with a Constitution check, can't I?
Yeah. You can spend luck on
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So all I need.
Except luck.
So I need to spend 11 luck. Holy guacamole! But I have quite a lot of luck. So,
You all seem to have quite a lot of luck.
so I'm
Use it
so
more.
I'm going to
It's amazing things have gone so badly for us.
So I'm going to do it. I have to confess that is partly because I know the nature of our journey is not necessarily a long-lived one, that I'm being this rash, but or is it? Who knows? Maybe we shall return.
Excellent.
Even-
It's a shame that could have really helped you. So, moving on to Peregrine. Could you give me a Constitution roll?
So what's this to see whether I
Well, you're asleep,
I'm asleep? Yeah.
so I'm just seeing if you're influenced by what's happening around you.
okay.
So Joseph wasn't. He spent the luck. He sort of tossed and turned and sort of woke up with a bit of cheese on him. But whatever might have been happening around him, he managed to sleep through.
Oh, okay, right. So this is sort of a test of how good I am at sleeping.
Yeah. In that sense, it's a Constitution roll. How soundly you're sleeping. You know.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
My constitution isn't great.
It sounds like it's better to fail it.
I failed it.
Okay, not to worry. Well, you slightly start awake, and you can't quite figure out. You know, when you wake up somewhere you've not woken up before, and you can't quite figure out where you are for a moment.
Yeah.
Someone's covered you up with a blanket. And you can see the sort of embers of a fire down by your foot, and gradually the situation comes back to you. We were outside. Oh, there's my clothes. Edward must have put them on the grate by the fire. They're warm. Okay, and we're in. It's Warren Hall. Ainsworth will be here. They said Ainsworth will be here tomorrow. You're fine. You're piecing it all together, and you put your hand down, and you're sort of you're reassured by the fact that Ben's there, and you're stroking him, and he's like, no, because you did connect with him earlier on. With the cheese, so he's sort of licking at your hand,
Is it?
and sniffing, and looking at your hand, and then you hear a bark from perhaps 100 yards away, and you remember that actually he wasn't with you. He'd sort of changed his attention. And that there's something next to you which is big and which is licking your hand and which seems to freeze as you have this realization. And at that moment, the last coal in the fire dies.
Fuck.
Oh dear.
Would you like to do anything?
Is my hand still on this creature?
From what you can tell, yeah. But it's frozen now. Whereas it was quite happily licking at your hand and sort of snuffling into your palm. It seems to have sensed your mood change and you stiffen, and it has done the same.
I'm going to carry on stroking it and say, good boy, Ben. Even though I know it's not Ben. Good boy, Ben.
It doesn't say, it doesn't make a noise, it doesn't respond.
And I'm going to roll my natural world to see whether it's obvious to me whether it's just another dog that we didn't know was here. That's the most obvious. That's the most obvious thing. It's just another dog. I didn't realise there was another dog in the house.
Roll your natural world, please.
That's an extreme success.
Excellent. So with an extreme success, you realise that it isn't, unless it's something you've not encountered before, it isn't even alive. It's not possible for it to be alive. It's like a hide that's breathing and sort of looking at you. It doesn't have any warmth to it, and it has that stiff feeling about its movements that old hide has.
Oh god. Is that a sanity check?
I'd say that's a sanity check. I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my sanity is 60 for the time being, and I passed it.
Fantastic. So that is not exactly good news, but you're not quite sure what it means. There's this thing next to you.
Yeah. Do I lose any sanity at all?
Well, what's your sanity?
My sanity's 60, and I rolled a 37.
Yeah, you lose one. It's an unsettling moment, but
It certainly is.
as you're sort of racking your brain, you're not losing your mind about it. You start to hear this low sort of this sort of almost growl next to you, and you can feel a vibration building, and whatever it is, its attitude has changed, and it starts. Your hand's still on it, and it starts raising up higher than a dog should. And at that point, I'd like to cut back to Sydney. How are you doing, Sydney? Can you do me a little listen roll?
Yeah. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, for God's sake. That's an 82 on a 20.
You're fine in your womb. And I guess that's back to Peregrine. Peregrine, what do you do?
I can't think of anything to do other than I just start yelling, "Go up, you bald head! Go up, you bald head! Go up, you bald head!"
And as you shout that,
shout that.
this thing rears up, your arm flies off it, and you hear this just unholy scream, which seems to be emanating from a mouth bigger than your head right next to you. And I'm assuming you either run or you fight. What do you do? You're entering some situation here.
Oh God!
Do you run or do you...
You can do neither, but something's going to happen.
God.
I think I'm finally unfreeze, and I just try and sprint for the door.
Luck
It's
roll.
quite a small room, isn't it?
It's a small room, and you sort of know the layout, but I need a luck roll because there's papers and books everywhere, and this thing is right on.
To quote Sidney Wagner, this would be a terrible room for a bear to attack me.
This would be a terrible room to roll 100 on a luck roll in.
Oh my fucking god. Okay.
Oh,
so
Ned. You're not going to find either of us tomorrow morning.
you get up, and you in this moment of unfreezing, like we all have those moments of fight or flight. In the moment you choose, it can be messy as hell, and you sort of launch yourself over the side of the chair and try to run where you remember the desk having been, but you hit your stomach straight into it, winding yourself, and sort of tumble to the side, and all the while you hear this, whatever it is, bearing down on you, and this heavy thing just appears above you, and you can't see anything anymore, because the fire in the grate's completely gone out, but you feel a searing pain in your shoulder. And could you do me a constitution roll?
I mean, I'm 9 over my constitution. Am I are we in combat? Can I spend luck? Can I push it?
I'd say we're in combat now, but I've just rolled a terrible set for this thing. So where are you?
Where physically?
No, I mean,
Emotionally.
what have you rolled?
So my constitution's 40 and I rolled 49.
Okay. I've rolled far worse than that. So what I'll say is you feel this heavy thing sort of step through over you, and this sharp pain goes into your shoulder, but it's not teeth, it's not anything like that. It's like it's stumbled past you. You've fallen through the table and it's fallen through you, but it quite quickly scurries around, and you feel it coming for you again, so you're gonna have to scrabble back away from it or fight back.
Pull out my knife.
Great.
And I pull out my knife and just sort of hold it out in front of me, hoping that in the dark, that if this thing launches itself at me, it will impale itself on my tiny little knife.
So you're on your back on the floor, going away from it.
Yeah.
Can you do me an unarmed? Can you do me like a
knife? My knife. I can do you a knife roll.
Yes, that's probably best.
Okay, so yeah, which is with my brawl roll. Oh god, I'm not very good at this. Oh yes, yeah, that's a success on my knife skills.
I've got a very good success, unfortunately, but you make contact. This thing sort of bears down on you. You feel the weight of it, and you do, as you sort of toss your knife out, you feel an entry point. You feel you have made some sort of contact with the knife, and it sort of jolts away from you, this creature, and you hear a sound which isn't what you were expecting. It sounds like a child crying.
Oh god.
It sounds like a sort of but from this huge sort of shadowy place in the room.
Any point me rolling for damage, or
Please do, actually, yeah.
Okay. Oh, 4 damage.
Okay.
Kill a kid.
Right. It's possibly the worst thing that could happen, isn't it? You end up defending yourself,
Killing a child.
and there's a dead child in front of you. Oh God.
Okay. So it doesn't the crying sort of cuts short after a while, and your eyes are adjusting. You can still hear this breathing. And then suddenly there's this sort of shriek of what sounds like anger. And could you do me a dodge roll?
Yeah. That's a terrible fail.
So you suddenly feel the mouth of this thing bites into your arm in a sort of ripping with its head, sort of shaking side to side. And you're sort of unsure of how much you can actually feel. It's sort of pulling you slightly one way and another. But the sort of numbness and the pressure of it feels like something else. And then you hear this sort of what sounds like a sound too young to be from something so big. And suddenly it sort of stumbles away. You hear it stumbling away towards the door of the study. And you're left sort of clutching your arm.
Do I take damage?
Yeah. Let me just check. Do you want to roll for... Well, I'll tell you. Okay, how many hit points have you got?
It shouldn't matter.
No, I'm intrigued because I'm noting it down.
Yeah, I've got 10.
Yeah, you lose 2.
Oh.
So it's not like...
Fine.
Yeah. I knew it
thanks.
wouldn't be a terrifying injury, but I'm just interested. So 10. Well, 8.
Yeah,
Lovely.
Great. Oh, God, that was horrible.
That was horrible. Jesus.
Yeah.
A slightly fitful dream. Are my feet caught in the sheets, or the blankets now? Do I feel a slight dragging sense? No. Pull back. Pull harder back. Oh no! Is it the gorse about my legs again? No. No.
It's not. It's just a tangled...
Just a tangled skein.
tangled web of sheets and a mess of cheese upon your chest.
No.
Not a euphemism.
For one.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I am, I think, lying on the floor of the study, still clutching my tiny little pocket knife.
Yeah.
Having just heard this something exit the room.
And you heard some strange sounds from it in your struggle. And you felt the pain in your left arm, and you were clutching your knife now, sort of still in position above you. You feel wetness sort of travelling over your hand.
Yeah.
This sort of warm, wet liquid, and which you're sure is blood, although it's still pitch black because the fire in the grate's gone out. Sydney, without the others having to know where you are, I'd like you to step out of the little place, your little cocoon you've been in, on your way to where you're headed. And the room's empty. But I'd like you to give me a little listen check before you carry on along your way.
Hey, now you're talking. That's a 17 on a 20.
Wow. Okay, so you hear a sort of Initially, you think it might be the wind just coming along the eaves of the house, but actually, it sounds too pointed for that. It's too. It's like a whistle. Well, it's not like a whistle. It's like a flute. There's a sort of a high-pitched flute noise coming from just below the window of the room you're in, which sounds very intriguing.
I shall walk over to the window.
So obviously walking quite labouredly, you carry over to the window. As you look out, could you give me a spot hidden?
Oh dear, no, that's an 89 on a 50.
You, but the noise is persistent. You keep hearing it, and although you don't see anything, because your eyes haven't quite adjusted yet, even though you're from the darkness outside the window seems heavier somehow, it seems more complete. But you can hear more distinctly closer to the window this sort of quite wavery whistle. And it seems to be coming from only a few yards away from you. It's something that you think you might be able to see if you really pushed against the window and opened your eyes as wide as possible. And you feel free to push it if you want, otherwise you may just enjoy the noise, or you may want to carry on along your way. But
I'll push the roll.
I'll give you that option.
I'm going to press my eyes against the glass. Nope, that's an 80.
Excellent.
The push roll.
So the whistling noise suddenly cuts off, and there's a silence for a moment. And as you listen, suddenly a huge blast of wind comes from the south, comes from the left of where you're looking at, and it's like a tsunami wave. You suddenly just hear the noise and the trees and the bushes around, and perhaps this is just another part of the game that you're playing, but it's there, and seems maybe it was preempted by the whistling noise. Perhaps it was brought by the whistling noise. Perhaps that's part of the game too. It's hard to tell. If you'd like to continue on your way, I'll check in with the others.
Oh, yes.
So, Peregrine, Edward, you're still in the throes of sleep. You're sort of restless, but you're in and out of consciousness. Peregrine, what would you like to do? You're fully awake now, on your back, on the floor.
Have I got any idea of what time it is? There's no window in this room. Is there a clock?
There's no window at all, so you're in pitch darkness. The last fire, the last ember in the grate has gone out.
And there's no. Oh, I wouldn't be able to see if there was a clock. Can I hear a clock ticking?
You can't, but you can sort of sense, I suppose, that you're near the door. You're lying sort of like the top of your back's pressed against a couple of like sort of shallow wooden steps. So you have an idea that if you crawled in that direction, you'd reach the corridor shortly. It is also the direction you heard the thing going in.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you're a man who's experienced hurting creatures or people in the past. It seems unlikely.
No.
So there's an element of as you're sort of figuring out where to go, peeling your fingers off the knife, which are now sort of sodden with the sticky, cooling fluid, which you're pretty certain is blood.
It's blood.
I think that might be a sanity check.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I fail that sanity check.
Well, you lose 1 sanity point.
Okay.
No one's been as unlucky as Sydney so far.
No.
Fine.
6 out of 6.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I think you succeed then in sort of putting your knife away. And are you trying to find the room to the door?
I really want to, I really want to know what time it is. I've got no idea whether it's still the middle of the night or whether it's the morning. I feel like I probably do carry a pocket watch. I imagine we all do. But I can't see it because there's no light. So
You remember there's a window nearby in the corridor.
I do remember that. So I start to make my way, still holding my knife. I actually keep it. I put it away and I take it out again, and then start making my way to the door, edging as quietly as I can.
Okay.
Can I do a little listen roll on the way to see whether I can hear the creature?
Do.
And that is a Hard success.
So you take a moment just by the door. You sort of have your hand on the frame, so you're sure you know where you are, and you're certain there's nothing in your immediate vicinity. You feel that whatever this thing is, it's further. So maybe you're safe to exit the study.
In that case, I do that, and I very quietly just make my way to the nearest window so I can see by the light of it what.
It's only a couple of yards away, so as you get close to it, you can you hold it up, and I think it's about 5 a.m, so it's still dark.
Oh God! So I've only been asleep for about half an hour.
Yeah, you weren't asleep for long. None of you have been asleep for long.
There's part of me that thinks that can't have been real. What I experienced can't have been real, but I've got this pain in my shoulder and my arm. There's blood on my knife. I can see it now in the light of the window. Can I? That it's definitely blood.
Yeah.
So I make my way to where Ned and Sydney's rooms are, and I go to Ned's room first, and I knock on the door.
Great. So you knock on the door, and you don't get a response.
I listen at the door, and I get an extreme success in my listen. I'm listening out specifically for A, a horrible creature growling, and B, the sound of Ned snoring, because I remember from school he was quite a snorer.
Okay, so you hear initially nothing, and then you hear a low sort of growling from inside Edward's room.
Oh.
And it's very near. It's very near the door. And
Oh God.
and
Could still be snoring.
and as you are you backing away from the door? Are you going to open it? What's your instinct here? You can hear snoring as well. You can hear snoring on one side, and you can hear growling from near the door.
I yell through the door. I yell, Ned, wake up and arm yourself. Wake up and arm yourself, Ned.
And as you do that, the door bursts open towards you, and this figure appears, which seems like it's almost a pyramid of fur and matted. You can't. The shapes are too strange. You can't cope with what it might be. It seems unknowable, and there's a face in there somewhere which seems manic and wild, and it throws itself towards you.
And as it throws itself towards me, I just slash with my knife. I have to. It's instinct.
And I scream, bah!
Of course you do.
This was always how this was going to progress. Not end, but progress.
And as he does that, I smash the bronze hammer into the wall, bringing a load of plaster down. Bah!
I think we can safely say Edward has been woken by this.
Where has he been?
Did I hit him with my knife?
Well, would you guys like to roll that between you? So
Yes, definitely.
if you roll for Sydney, if you're trying to dodge or if you're just trying to power through whatever it is.
I can spend luck on a combat.
Yeah,
Spend luck on
right?
combat, can't I?
You're spending luck to stab me.
Yeah.
Oh God! Well, he thinks it's.
I don't know it's you.
Yeah.
I might accidentally hit him with the hammer.
Oh my God! Literally.
No, that's a fail.
Well, I've just rolled a regular success. I can spend luck, can't I, on a combat
Yes.
roll?
Yeah, I think so.
So I spend 6 luck on that. And now
Kill him.
I'm going to roll for damage.
Oh God.
God. So, Sydney, your swing of the bronze hammer goes wide, and you take a chunk out of the plasterwork on the edge of the doorway. As Edward sort of wakes up behind you, scrambling up on the bed, and sort of.
What the devil's going on?
And as Peregrine slashes with the knife,
I do 3 damage. 3 points of damage.
you really connect. And where are you hitting him? Where were you aiming for?
Oh, just like midriff.
Right, so you sort of slash just under the left nipple and slice across, and there's it's shallow, but it's painful as all hell.
I'm going to scrabble out of bed towards my my golf collection and try and find the 12 ball.
All you can see from where you are is this sort of pyramid of shapes and colours,
Horror.
sort of flailing in the door of the room. Reminds you somewhat of the djinn you saw
Yes.
earlier on in the evening, which in your waking mind is hard to distinguish from dream or reality, but you remember a similarity between the two anyway.
It was pretty
And you
hard.
hear these sort of
Yeah, it was
grunts.
pretty hard to distinguish between the dream and the reality before, let alone now. So yeah, I will still progress towards the shotgun, although some sense of compos mentis is returning.
Excellent. So, Sydney, it's your reaction turn now, right?
Well, I think having been stabbed and slamming the hammer into the wall, with my sort of if that concludes my kind of bout of madness.
I think to be fair, I think that does. I think
Temporary.
you were lingering in that little womb that you'd concocted for yourself for long enough.
I think if is that the end of my temporary insanity, or is that just?
I don't think I need to roll. I think it is.
Isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
So in which case, I'm going to slump against the wall, and probably at this point exhaustion overwhelms me, and I just fall asleep on the floor.
You're still about 3 feet from the wall, just because of the depth of your costumes draped over you.
I just flop over, and immediately asleep.
Or the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
To clarify, I'm wearing all of my hats.
This is what I was going to ask. As he collapses to the floor,
Fez rolls away down the landing.
we get a chance to have a proper look at this figure. And what exactly do we see? Maybe you could describe to us what we see as the light comes in through the window.
And as I bring the shotgun up.
Yeah.
I will pass over really to the Master of Hats for that description.
It is a series of conical headgears. The fez has rolled off down the landing. This sort of circular red felt hat goes rolling away. As I hit the deck, you hear the jangle of metal sequins on the capuchon, on the gargouche. The capuchon pops off as well and sort of flops on the floor. Underneath, I seem to have a beret strapped from one ear across my chin to the other ear, like that, with the little dabbly bit in the middle.
The whole effect seems one of a severe malfunction in a Mr. Whippy van. A sort of
and my non-la, my sort of Asian sort of conical hat, known as a non-la. I'm wearing that around my chest, like a big mono breast, which has now been gashed.
Yeah, maybe that offered you some protection.
Maybe.
From my small gardening knife.
I seem to have a kufi in one hand and a coonskin cap in the other.
remarkable.
Good God.
Well-
Good God, what is it?
It's.
But it can't
I believe
be.
it's Sydney.
It can't be.
Now, what I immediately want to know is he got any fur on him? I'm immediately trying to work out whether this is the same figure that I attacked in the study. Is he got like a fur? Is he wrapped in a fur coat or anything?
There's no fur that's well, unless I'm mistaken, Dom. There's no fur that's immediately visible. It doesn't look. It's mainly cloth and various fabrics, sequins.
Ned.
Yes, Pip.
I don't know what's happened tonight. I might be wrong. I have hardly slept, and now I've had two strange incidents. So I can't quite work out where one ends and where the next starts. But I believe there's a creature in the house, and it's not Sydney. I was attacked in the study. And I lashed out at something, but it was furry. I thought it was the dog. I thought it was Ben, but it wasn't a dog, Ned. And I'm fairly sure it wasn't Sydney.
This was an Apocalypse Players production. For more information about the podcast, go to apocalypseplayers.com. Thanks for listening. There's a creature in the house and it's not Sydney. Hang on. on the film poster.